Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast. Today we're focusing on Target Corporation, TGT. We've got a stack of recent reports from 2025, some due diligence, some stock analysis. Our job today is really to pull out what's crucial for you to understand about this major retailer right now. We'll hit their financials, market position, what might be coming down the pike, and, any opportunities or maybe red flags.
Sounds good. Let's get into it. These reports give us a decent snapshot of Target's current state and maybe where things are heading in 2025. Maybe start with financials, see how the numbers look.
Good place to start.
Yeah.
So annual revenue for 2025, it landed at $106.566 billion, which is interestingly a small step down from 2024's $107.412 billion. And that itself was down a bit from 2023. So you're seeing this slight trend of revenue easing off a bit.
Okay, a bit of a dip there.
Yeah, but on the earnings side, their Q4 2025 earnings per share actually beat expectations. Came in at $2.41 versus the consensus estimate of $2.24.
Oh, interesting. Better than expected on the bottom line for the quarter.
Right. But then you look at the full year 2024 EPS, that was $8.86, which was actually a little under 2023's $8.94. So it's a bit of a mixed bag, isn't it? Revenue slightly down, but earnings finishing 2025 stronger than forecast. What's behind that, do you think?
Well, one thing that jumps out from these reports, and it seems pretty significant, is their focus on efficiency. Apparently, Target managed to cut over $2 billion in costs over the last couple of years.
$2 billion, wow.
Yeah, so while the top line, the revenue, hasn't been growing much, their work on managing expenses seems to be, really helping the profit picture. Makes you wonder where exactly those savings came from and if they can keep that up.
That's a really good point. And speaking of stability and maybe something they can keep up, let's talk dividends. They just declared another quarterly dividend, $1.12 per share, payable in June. But the really striking thing is their history here. They've paid out consistently every single quarter since October 1967.
1967. That's incredible.
Yeah, right. 231 consecutive quarterly dividends. I mean, for investors, that kind of consistency, it really speaks volumes about financial stability and shareholder commitment.
Absolutely. That track record is definitely a sign of a mature, stable business. Often appeals to income-focused investors, right? But it does raise the question, like you hinted, how do they keep that going when revenue growth is kind of flat? Suggests maybe a deliberate choice to prioritize those shareholder returns, even if the top line isn't booming. Okay, so let's shift focus a little. What about their actual business, their position in the market?
Okay. Well, they've got a huge presence, obviously, almost 2,000 stores across the U.S., and that's alongside their digital platform, Target.com. Their whole strategy seems to be about blending those two, the physical and the digital, that omni-channel approach.
Making it easy to shop however you want.
Exactly. And it seems to be working, at least based on the holiday period, November, December. They saw total sales up 2.8%, comparable store sales, so stores open at least a year, those are up 2%.
Okay, solid.
And digital sales jumped almost 9%. Plus, maybe most importantly, guest traffic was up about 3%. And that was the 8th month in a row they saw traffic growth. That tells you people are still coming through the doors physically and virtually.
That consistent traffic growth, yeah, that's a really positive signal. 8 months straight is quite a streak. It suggests customers are engaged and that their mix of physical and digital is hitting the right notes. Shows adaptability.
Definitely. And you have to remember who they're up against. I mean, giants like Walmart, Costco, huge competition. The report suggests Target really tries to stand out with that focus on style and design mixed with value. Not just low prices, but a certain aesthetic.
The Target factor.
Right. And they're apparently putting money into their supply chain and tech, too, trying to make that whole shopping experience smoother.
That differentiation is key for them, avoiding a pure price war. But like all retailers, they're facing those big trends, E-commerce keeps growing, which they seem to be handling well. But then there are the risks. Supply chain snags are always possible, and inflation is still putting pressure on things. How they handle those external pressures is crucial.
So looking forward then, what are they planning? Well, they've got some pretty ambitious targets, aiming for over $15 billion in extra sales growth by 2030.
$15 billion? How?
Their plan seems to involve product innovation and making their supply chain even better. These plans are supposed to start rolling out mid-2025, and a big piece is expanding their own brands, their private label stuff.
Owned brands. Yeah, that's a classic retail play. More control, usually better margins than selling other companies' products. Makes sense. But we should probably keep an eye on the near term, too. Their Q1 earnings for fiscal 25 are coming up soon, right? May 21st.
Yep, very soon.
And the company itself has sounded a bit cautious about Q1. They're talking about potential profit pressure. Seems to be a mix of consumer uncertainty, people maybe pulling back a bit, and also worries about tariffs. So the immediate path might be a little bumpy, even with the long-term goals.
And we've sort of seen that bumpiness in the stock price recently, haven't we? Like on May 12th, the stock jumped over 4%, hit 103 level intraday. But zooming out over the last 3 months, the stock's actually down about 25%. So quite a bit of volatility.
25% drop in 3 months. Yeah, that's significant.
And it seems analyst sentiment is a bit mixed, too. The reports mentioned Bernstein actually downgraded the stock recently.
Right, that volatility and the downgrade likely reflect those same near-term worries the company mentioned. Consumer spending jitters, the tariff situation, it creates uncertainty for investors.
Let's talk a bit more about those challenges versus the opportunities. That consumer uncertainty seems like a big one. If people get nervous about the economy, they might cut back on, discretionary stuff, things like clothes, home goods, areas where Target is pretty strong. That makes them a bit vulnerable, doesn't it?
It does. They rely quite a bit on non-essential categories. And then there's the tariff issue, which is still hanging around. Plus, you always have the wild card of, like, weird weather patterns messing with sales sometimes.
True. But it's not all doom and gloom. What about the upsides?
Well, like we discussed, those cost savings are a real positive, gives them some financial flexibility. And they are seeing growth in areas like beauty and also food and beverage. Those tend to be more resilient categories, less susceptible to pullbacks.
Good point. Staples versus discretionary.
Exactly. And another potential positive is their effort to diversify sourcing, moving some production away from China. That could really help lessen the blow from tariffs down the road. It's proactive.
Okay, so bringing it all together, what are the analysts saying overall?
The general vibe seems to be somewhere between a hold and maybe a moderate buy.
So not screaming buy, but not sell either.
Pretty much. It looks like analysts recognize these solid operations, that consistent customer traffic we talked about, the reliable dividend, and the fact that they have clear long-term growth plans.
But they're probably also weighing those near-term headwinds we discussed.
Exactly. It feels like a balanced, maybe cautiously optimistic view, acknowledging the strengths, but keeping the current challenges in mind.
So stepping back,
Yeah.
what's the takeaway here for someone looking at Target? Seems like a major, well-run retailer that's proving pretty resilient in attracting customers and definitely committed to dividends. They're managing costs proactively. They've got a roadmap for future growth. But they're operating in a tricky environment. Consumer confidence is a question mark. Tariffs are still a factor. Those are real headwinds to watch.
Especially with that Q1 earnings report just around the corner. That'll give us the next piece of the puzzle.
Definitely. So this overview should give you a pretty solid foundation for thinking about Target's place in the market right now. Of course, for the absolute latest numbers and news, you'll want to check Target's own investor relations site, their SEC filings, and keep up with reputable financial news outlets.
Good advice. Things can change quickly.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for tuning in for this focused look at Target. If you found this analysis helpful, we really appreciate it if you'd subscribe, maybe give us a like, and leave a comment. Let us know what you think.
We always appreciate the engagement.